Welcome to Robotics and Automation News webinars, where you can be part of a global event without leaving your home or office. Attend our live webinars and communicate directly with influential professionals in your industry.
Hello, my name is Abdul Montakim. I'm editor of Robotics and Automation News.com. In this interview, I speak to Bill Bither, co-founder and CEO of MachineMetrics, which is a startup that provides an industrial data platform for manufacturers and similar businesses. The interesting thing about MachineMetrics is that it doesn't need to use sensors on machines to collect data from them. And because it requires minimal integration time, the return on investment could be as little as a few hours or at most a few weeks. Bill explains. Apologies for my sound quality on the audio. Bill's audio is fine, but my device was playing up a bit.
My name is Bill Bither. I am the CEO and co-founder of MachineMetrics. And my job at the company as a founder is really to lead the company with our vision, with our hiring, and generally to be a jack of all trades and master of none.
Right. So you've had a fantastic bit of development. I don't know when it was exactly, but in the last week or two, you have announced that you have raised some funding or new financing and new investors, and one of the companies involved in investing in MachineMetrics is Teradyne, which owns Universal Robots, Mobile Industrial Robots, and AutoGuide. I think all of them, we on our website, roboticsandautomationnews.com, we write about quite frequently. It's exactly in our area, and you are as well. Your company is as well. So it just seems to make sense for Teradyne to do this. Tell us all about what's happened, how much was raised, and the investment, and what you see, how it makes sense for you and for Teradyne.
Yeah. So last week we announced a $20 million Series B investment, and Teradyne is that lead investor, and really the reason we chose to go in that direction is that we both companies see a very heavily overlapping vision in that we're both looking at driving autonomous manufacturing. In particular, for our market, discrete manufacturers is our core business that the businesses that we work with, and what we're building at MachineMetrics is kind of at a higher level, what we call an operating system for the autonomous factory. And basically, what we do is we make it really easy to capture data from manufacturing equipment like CNC machines, presses, injection molding equipment, also robotics, and transform that data into usable analytics. And from there, we're able to really automate the operation of the machine. So we'll essentially send instructions to operators so that they know, for example, machine might have stopped running and it needs some attention. So we'll notify the operator to start the machine back up, or maybe there's a tool change required, and we're getting more advanced so that we're actually starting to know when a machine needs to be repaired prior to failure, or when a tool is starting to wear out. And we're not only sending instructions to the machine operators now, but we're starting to actually tell the machines themselves to stop, so it could stop producing a bad quality part, for example. So that natural progression for us is to move also to robotics, because we're seeing so many cobots on the factory floor, a lot of universal robotics that we're engaged with. So we're now able, with this partnership, we're building a tighter integration with UR, and we'll be able to also send those instructions to the robots themselves to take action based on the the information that's coming from these machines.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in how you tell the when a machine or how your system software knows when a machine is about to fail. I understand, I'm not an expert, but I understand that sometimes the vibration of the machine, if it's wrong or something untoward, unusual about the vibration of the machine. And other things, tell us about the, not too much detail that will, confuse the average person, but how does a software system with sensors on the machine tell when the machine is not functioning correctly and needs maintenance?
Sure. So one of the unique aspects of MachineMetrics is that many of the machines that we connect to, we're actually not installing external sensors. We're able to pull data right off the machine's PLC or control. And essentially, these controls already have access to the many sensors that are used to build a machine. So we've built numerous software connectors to the various machine controls. And with that, we're able to capture data from these machines at very high frequencies. So like, up to a kilohertz or even more. So 1,000 times a second. And what we've also done is we've taken that data. So our first sort of suite of products was really about monitoring production, machine conditions, alarms, and that can really help understand the health of the machine, but it doesn't give you any more information than if you were to stand at that machine and see machine was an alarm, right? Or machine, a particular feed or speed. But what we've done over the years is that we've connected to thousands of machines across discrete manufacturers, and we've started to gain really deep knowledge into the operation of the machine, into the data of the machine. We have a data science team with physicists on the team, with data scientists, and we've been able to normalize that data down into its core components, the physical components. So, for example, we can understand the friction of the machine, and we factor out all the noise and signals that if a human were to look at it, you just see a bunch of noise. And what that does is that kind of replaces the ear of a very experienced machinist. Whereas a machinist could listen to a machine and start to tell, okay, something's going up here. The tool is kind of wearing out. The bearings are failing. We're able to supplement that with actual data from the machine and physics. And with that, we're able to start to build numerous algorithms that apply to a large set of our customer base that we're starting to deploy to predict these situations, to predict quality issues, tool wear, and bearing failures.
That's really interesting, and I like. I mean, I think I subscribed to MachineMetrics newsletter some time ago. I don't always get to carry your stories because there's so many other stories going on, and software is not something I particularly understand very well, and it's more difficult to illustrate, as you can imagine, because software, you can't really take pictures of software. I mean, you can take a screenshot or something, but machines are easier to illustrate and write about. They're easier to understand. But however, I very much appreciate that software in this sector especially has been, and it probably still is, you can tell me if I'm wrong, it's a very, very fast growing area, digital services, this kind of maintenance, IoT or industrial IoT as they call it. Tell us about the market itself, how I mean, it has been a few years since IoT or this kind of network has been introduced to industrial operations, so it's not new. but it has been quite new. And what are the new aspects of it, and what's the competitive landscape like? Because I've heard of other companies, lots of other companies like to say they've got an IoT network or predictive maintenance system. What's it like for you as a startup with your own? It looks to me like you're a fairly new kind of company, whereas you're very old. For example, General Electric had predicts maintenance, predicts system, and they claim to have been making or turning over several $billions a year with that kind of service, digital service. I mean, what kind of, tell us about your company and how it fits into that whole
Sure.
movement.
Yeah. So, what MachineMetrics really is, you notice that we haven't to this point used the term IoT. We really consider ourselves an industrial, so really an industrial data ops platform for machines. And what that, IoT is a part of that. What you see across the industry is that there's a lot of IoT players out there. They're mostly focused on sensors and being relatively horizontal. We've really taken the approach to go very deep and vertical into discrete manufacturing. So where we see like what we call a horizontal IoT platform that that gives you some of the basic building blocks, you still need to build the applications on top of that. Whereas with MachineMetrics, we have those applications available out of the box for discrete manufacturers. So our customers are able to connect their equipment without any outside system integrators, for example. So what we see across industry to date is that there's a lot of homegrown solutions that are being built on these platforms that require millions of dollars of investment, years of development, and we're especially for those customers where we have an ideal fit, and like these are precision metal manufacturers, plastic injection molders, metal fabrication shops, automotive tier suppliers, medical device manufacturers, and the list goes on. MachineMetrics, it provides that out of the box value, so our customers can really achieve tremendous value very quickly within just a few weeks of implementation. So that's really the big difference with MachineMetrics, is because we've gone very deep into the equipment that we connect to and our industry, and that helps our customers.
A company that's looking to set up from scratch or brand new can get your system first or the software first, because the software kind of already has a guide to what kind of hardware to buy. You know what I mean? It's like if you want to do injection.
What we've seen across our customers is that often the first decision needs to be made. There needs to be data to back up a decision around automation, around purchasing robotics, and we've seen our customers justify a move to robotics with the data that we're providing. Understanding just how often a machine is down. I mean, we've seen across our customers that the average machine utilization rate is under 30%. So there's and that's real data, and so there's a huge opportunity for automation to really improve your machine utilization. These are machines that that you could be investing $1 million that you're paying off over time, and you want those machines running 24/7. So by investing in robotics, you're able to run lights out, for example. And the missing piece really is that data, the flow of data. We call the digital thread, to understand what's running at what time, when it goes down, if there's a problem, what actions need to be taken, and that's driven by an industrial data platform, which is what MachineMetrics does. So really, it's the combination of robotics and the data platform that's required for full autonomous manufacturing. And but kind of back to your question, step one is to justify that investment. If you already have an investment, you're probably going to want to utilize the equipment better and more effectively, and having that data to provide those instructions really is what will help you get there.
The idea of you being a kind of out of the box solution. Say, for example, I wanted to I don't know, make a particular part or a tool, say, I don't know, watch cases or something like that. I could buy the software first and then decide what kind of machines I need based on what kind of machines that the MachineMetrics software can plug into. Is there some sort of, can it be done like that, or is it usually,
it
at the
can be, but
moment,
it's not
usually
typically how it's done. I mean, a manufacturer will have machines that might be 20 years old, and they might be brand new, and MachineMetrics is designed to connect to all of this equipment. So you wouldn't necessarily, although it has happened, especially with some of the higher frequency data and predictive, but generally you're not going to be making decisions on equipment purchases based on the software that you have. You make that $1 million investment in machine, and then make sure that the data platform that you choose can connect to your machines. So it's, the onus is on us to be able to make sure that we can connect to the wide variety of equipment that's out there in all the different manufacturers.
Sort of flowing on from that, or something that I've heard other people say is about privacy, about data, concerns about data kind of a flow, who gets it, who can access it, and things like that. So a typical manufacturer, might have patented or secret or confidential processes or things. Now, how is that data sort of divided? They may learn how to do something better than their rival companies, competitors, and things like that, and that it's there in the data, in the system. How do they manage that? Is your software generally used on site, in-house, or is there a cloud component?
Yeah, we're actually
things like that. How's the data sort of divided up?
Right. So we have an on-premise component. It's our edge. So our edge will basically, it captures that data. It takes action, but a lot of that data is streamed to the cloud, where it's processed and it's shared amongst those authenticated users. We are basically ISO compliant. We've built security into our business, not just the application. Where we're living on the AWS cloud, so the security that's built into MachineMetrics is quite often above and beyond what you'd see in an on-premise system, where there's often attacks and compromises that occur because there's a computer that's on a network that has a virus. So we really do pay very close attention to security, and we give the customers the ability to sort of pick and choose what data is being sent to the cloud.
Right, and finally,
right.
So all this money that you've raised, I mean, it is a lot of money for an average person, but in that kind of space, in that kind of market, in the industrial sector, it's it's relatively modest, I suppose. And what are your plans for it? What do you hope to use the money for, or how do you see the future panning out for you with the help of this? And are there any other money raising initiatives planned?
Yeah, so this funding really does give us a lot of firepower for further investing in our product, in our predictive analytics, also for support for the larger enterprise manufacturers who've really gained a lot of interest in MachineMetrics, primarily due to our predictive technologies. So there's a lot that will basically be accelerating our development. We're also seeing so much demand for our software that will be enhancing our sales and marketing with this funding. I've actually written a blog about that. So if you go to our website, MachineMetrics.com, I've written in a little bit more detail about how we're planning to use that funding and what that means for ourselves and our customers.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure I'll get around to visiting it. As I say, I receive your newsletter, and it's always very well written, and always comes up with a very interesting aspect of this kind of technology. It's worth subscribing to. So, is there anything that I didn't ask about that you'd like to talk about? I don't know if I've covered everything there.
Well, I mean, we've definitely covered a lot. I mean, I think that what we've seen over the past 18 months or so is really increasing demand for digital technologies in manufacturers, and that's really there's a real issue with this tribal knowledge that's leaving the workforce. So replacing that is really hard, and you really need to make sure that you have the right data to make these decisions, and you have connectivity on your factory floor. This is really sort of the premise of industrial IoT and Industry 4.0, is to have that connection, and really the value on top of that is by choosing the right vendors, the right industrial data platform, and from there the ROI can be incredibly strong. So it's so my advice there is really look into make this investment. It's it's a little bit of investment up front, but it is worth it. And if you choose the right vendor, the ROI can be within just weeks.
Yeah, I've heard of tremendous gains being made by companies who do implement this kind of system. I've heard this kind of thing for a couple of years now, 2-3 years at least, where introducing a digital overlay onto operations technology, they call it OT-IT sort of a merger or something. And yeah, they can make a lot of savings. As you said earlier, 30% machine typically could be used for about 30% of the time, which is obviously 70% is sort of waste. Fine, you're saving electricity by not using it 70% of the time, possibly, but yeah, there's a lot of productivity to be gained from this, from my point of view, which obviously isn't an expert point of view. But yeah, it's a lot of gains to be made, a lot of weeks for an ROI, return on investment, seems quite surprising. Actually, it's quite quick.
Yeah, that's what we typically see amongst our customers. Remember that there isn't a huge investment that's required in integration services and development. So being that we're not out of the box solution, the ROI can be, typically you see like 18 months of ROI. We are a subscription service, so our return on that first year is generally within a few weeks, and then that payment is made every year.
All right. Well, it's been great talking to work, and congratulations on raising finance and interesting what is a very important company in the robotics and automation sector. Anyway, so great work.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with me and introducing MachineMetrics to your audience.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time and your insights today, and good luck with everything.
Well, thank you very much, Abdul. You have a great rest of your day.
Send us an email at sales@roboticsandautomationnews.com to register for one of our many upcoming webinars. And if you'd like us to host your webinar, we have a range of options, including long-term lead generation packages and marketing campaigns. We look forward to hearing from you soon.